Hey adventurers, remember last year when we took a quick peek at some of my early ROM memories while spending some time flipping through the handbook? I got some time to edit the footage so I could share it with all of you. I hope you enjoy this second part in taking a look back in the early years of ROM. Feel free to share some of your early stories in the comments. Here we're in the underground Giffen dungeon. I kind of still like this classic building look a little bit, oddly enough. This building just looks pretty creepy and kind of cool. I like the name of this one. Camp of the Strong Enough. Like, you're just good enough. Congratulations. Congratulations, buddy. Oh, you know what? Check it out. So this is when I finally got... Yeah, this must have been when I had finally gotten the contact lenses. When I finally picked out, which is now, I guess, part of my signature look, the eyes that I like. And then, as you can see here, Fuafua is Bond 10, and I'm carrying Fuafua around for my photos now. And still has the little, I gave Fuafua a little pirate bandana. which is really adorable. Here I'd finally gotten the pink hair, because the pink dye could only, so the pink hair dye actually could only come from one place very early on, and that was actually from the original. You could get the pink dye randomly by doing the Zodiac daily with the cat NPC in Prentera. And I remember very early on, well, the funniest thing was that we had this other couple in the guild, and myself and this other member, we were like trying so hard. We're like hoping and praying to get this pink hair dye. And obviously it never happened. And yet their husband had of course gotten the pink hair dye, and they were showing off the pink hair dye for the longest time. Because the two of us could not get it, and it's like, thanks. Thanks. But here's also the idol costume had come out pretty early. And then here's the classic bow and the classic wind perch drake. Because we didn't have anything else. We didn't have much else back then. I also wore the fox ears a lot too back then. And this little bunny. This little bunny that also came with the idol costume set. We got some early Glastheim stuff. So funny thing about Glastheim was that I remember early on I had actually wrote a mini guide for my guild, because back then it was actually kind of difficult to get adventure experience. I think it was around level 82 that a collection quest popped up in Glastheim Chivalry or one of the maps, and when you completed it, a whole bunch of scenic spots opened up. And back then we took whatever adventure XP we could get, and I was like, listen, you do this collection quest and you get all these scenic spots and you get a huge jump at adventure XP. Because back then we had to do anything we could to try to rank up. Here's a fun one, me wearing the whole idol set, basically, with the little hat. With the little hat! And then this was one of the early event pets, if I remember correctly, little squirrel. Look at this. This is the Alchemist Guild. This is an Aldebaran, and as you can see, I was working my way up with the performer class here. It looks so like washed out here. Like, how's that even possible? The lighting hit me like so weird here. It's so funny to see. I guess here's my earliest photo of being on a mount. When we finally had the mount update. And I remember I wanted the mage class mounts. I love these faxes a lot. So I had worked on my Sage class at the time. I was super excited with the episode 5 update with Sage. I used the heck out of Sage for the longest time. Here we finally got all the way to Gingerbread City. It's funny looking back at these. I remember when I did the Gingerbread City quest early, because it was one of the it had the back that was usable for priest. The Holy Bell back. So I remember doing that quest series early. And it was such a weird quest. It's funny actually, even especially looking back on this one. You could see with the lighting and everything, like the original pink hair. You know, because I said the pink hair story earlier. Like, it's so light. It's so light compared to now. It's so funny the things, like, we so sought after. Even though, like, compared to then to now, like, it's so much better now. Even though back then, like, when things said that they were going to be changed and we were kind of just not happy about hearing about changes. But looking at it now, it's like, yeah, that's not too bad of a change. It's over in Nifleheim. Nifleheim I thought was actually a pretty good quest. I remember rushing the first part of it because I wanted the teleports in Misty Forest because we had to work on those Death's Breath, if everyone remembers those, where we had to call out for the extra, for those bosses that were kind of like world bosses. We needed Death's Breath and they dropped a lot of mithril and things, and people don't really go after them these days. But it was kind of like a nice... I thought it was actually kind of like a nice community thing. The whole server would go after these bosses. I always love the background in the skybox in Nifleheim. Some of the maps now have actually been updated around Nifleheim, and the skybox, so it's kind of interesting to see what it used to be back then with the older skybox. It's kind of interesting seeing this Yggdrasil photo as part of the Nifleheim line. I kind of would point out these Umbala photos simply because Umbala now is actually a really pretty little map. I'm gonna go ahead and add some clips to this video because compared to these early photos and this background, it was kind of like one of the basic early skyboxes, especially with this mountain, fake mountain going on in the back that we see in a couple of other areas. Like now Umbala is actually really nice. It's actually really nice for like background photos in my opinion. And it's kind of a shame that it's kind of just a very in-between map. And it's interesting how a map like Umbala got updated compared to some of the other city maps, you know? It's interesting to see, and it's interesting to wonder what was decided when certain maps got updated and other ones did not. Hopefully other ones will get upgrades in the near future. Over in Lighthalzen, I remember rushing the Singer quests. I remember rushing these Singer quests so quickly because I wanted all the little hats and all little things. This is me on my sage. On my sage and on my mount, which I was so happy with. Here's the other side of Lighthalzen. Always had such a nice, fun metropolis kind of feel, vibe, city look to it. Also, I never realized this was called Central Park. Aw, man, the Rachel update. I remember hearing that the Rachel update had a costume. And I was like, yeah, alright. I'll do the quest. I remember the quest made it was so nonsensical. It was so dramatic and it was so nonsensical. But I got my costume. Looks like I didn't take most of these photos until I got my costume, actually. I don't know what I was deciding at the time. Oh, that's funny. I didn't even realize this till now. Look at this goddess memory statue. Look, this looks familiar. This is part of the... This is the strongholds. This is the stronghold asset. That's so funny. Oh, look at my baby dorm. This is where the dorm started showing up. My dorm in the costume. Oh man, I'll never look at these stoppers. I'll never forget the Stapo farming back and forth wars. Boy, do I have stories about those. I did a lot of farming in this Rachel Underground though. When I had to work on my were we even no, we weren't even saints yet. Right? When was that update? Jeez. So hard to keep track. Here we have some really nice Luoyang photos. Luoyang is actually a really nice zone. It's actually a really pretty zone, a lot of the areas. And the cities themselves. I feel like they started being a lot more artistic around these updates. Oh man, this must have been this must have been when Fourth Jobs released. This is funny because this photo actually caught, I don't even know who said this, Fourth Jobs are destroying TT. Fourth Jobs are changing the game. Because here's me in my Saint costume. This must have been after I had job changed. This must have been pretty soon after. This is kind of funny because this photo seems to have the old one cached, but when I click it, it seems to have a newer one here or something. I'm not sure why. So this is, so I don't know, I guess this one has two photos. I don't know why. I always love these little fall-looking trees going on. My favorite part of Luoyang is actually this very comfy skybox with the blues and the lanterns in the background. Probably all the photos here in Luoyang, I really like probably this one because this has all those parts of Luoyang that I like of the aesthetic. I just think it's really funny that there's an NPC just being so salty here. This is interesting because this Moon Lake area, for whatever reason, some of them actually have some lost pictures, unfortunately. So I probably have to redo these. Or I'm not sure these are considered moved to other areas, because this says Yggdrasil. But Yggdrasil, I noticed, is also in a different area, so I'm not too sure if it got reprocessed, but Moon Lake is definitely one of my favorite areas, because it's just so pretty. It just fits my aesthetic. And I remember I just love this little pet is it's so cute. It's so cute. And here's a special mount when you work on several multi-jobs. This achievement series is really cool. I remember this Lord of Gods thing, and look at this old look. It's so funny looking at how we used to look and the old costumes and everything. Because there was 2 art updates that happened in the game. I remember everyone, you know, because this was after the first update, actually, like I mentioned before, where compared to the extremely pale pink hair that we had earlier, but now we have this kind of like in between compared to now, which is kind of like it's just a better palette compared to everything else now. But you can really see the difference of how they decided things. And here in Academy, I'm also missing some photos again. Maybe they got removed. But here's the Novice Hall. The Novice Hall. I guess I'm missing some. That's not surprising. And Herbal Garden. This little area is so nice. You remember when I did my Explore live stream? I love this skybox. This is such a cool, beautiful kind of sunset skybox. I kind of wish this was used in a couple of other areas. It kind of sucks it's in an area that's just, it's just so underutilized. Like, this is probably one of the prettiest ones. Ah, yes, and my favorite was Wisteria Tree Restaurant I used for my other recent event. And it's so funny looking at this, at the Academy stuff. I had actually not done Academy for quite a while, because I had no reason to. I had the multi-jobs that I needed at the time, and I wasn't working on anything else. So it wasn't until I think I had decided to roll, I think, Gunslinger as a new job later that I decided to do the Academy Job Quest series and check it out for myself, for my main, you know, for my account. And the thing is that while some people seem to really like Academy and the boost it did, it's just the problem is that the quest just kind of like cut you off. You know, compared to now where the quest series kind of move you along or at least tell you a bit of what to do next or a goal of what to do next or at least what level you need next. You know, it kind of just didn't give you any guidance whatsoever previously. You know, it was kind of a benefit just to veterans that maybe just needed an extra multi-job, or maybe you just kind of wanted your friends to super catch up to you. But for completely new players, Academy just did not work out very well. I saw it very frequently that players were just very lost. It was something I noticed, especially as someone that was recruiting, that was always recruiting, and these players that unfortunately they just didn't really stick around. From what I see now, while it's a little bit of a longer journey, I have seen people be able to at least pick up and understand the game a bit better now. Let's check out Mysterious Place. So it's funny because I have both the special photos of the costumed players, or player, I should say, on the global EL server from the auction costumes. But I remember we basically had to kind of schedule a time for this to happen. So it was very difficult back then because otherwise they would get bombarded with, I think, DMs and everything for our photo. So that's why we had to kind of like schedule things. And I remember telling my guild, like, you have to be online at this time. Please do not bother them. Please just come, get your photo, kindly thank them and nearby, and then, you know, let's move on and everything. I remember these things would only last only so long before the server would hear about it, and then the whole area would get bombarded. How did you enjoy all those throwbacks? We got to take another look at some of the early days of the art assets, the costumes, the cities, and most of all, our memories together. Are you also feeling a little nostalgic? Let me know in the comments below. Hopefully you had some fun with this video. I'd super appreciate it if you could like and subscribe. Hopefully, I'll see you around in the next video. And until next time, adventure, let's guard the eternal love together.